Good day to you. Welcome to my channel. My name is Matt. Today I'm going to talk about using an oracle for solo role-playing games. If you have looked into solo role-playing games, you will undoubtedly have come across an oracle. There are dozens and dozens of them out there. I've actually created a couple, and today I'm going to show you how I use the oracle that I've devised to expand upon my games and to add depth, uncertainty, and a little bit of chaos into my games. So in my games, whenever there is a question that would come up that would probably more likely be answered by a dungeon master or game master, I pose the question to an oracle. And this is a general rule of how solo role-playing games work. Typically, you will roll something on a table and you will check the table, and the table will give you an answer like yes, no, yes and, yes but, no and, no but, something like that. Well, I don't like looking at tables, so I devised my own system. So basically, breaking it down to what is the basic oracle, you're going to roll 2 dice. I'm an Army vet, so good guys are always blue in the Army. Bad guys are always red. It's just the way we work. So blue is positive, red is negative. So if you look at it that way, it's easy to remember. Blue is always a yes, red is always a negative. So simple question, is it going to rain today? In this case, while it barely beat the no, the answer is yes, it is going to rain today. Now I wanted to add a little bit more depth to my oracle without having a bunch of charts to check. And so what I've done is I have added what I call a slider die. And slider die is a die that sits in the middle, represented here by my white die. And what it does is it slides the probability one way or another. And it can also add a little bit more depth for what the response is. So if we were to say, is it going to rain today? Yesterday it was beautifully sunny out, but on the horizon there were storm clouds. That means, at least in my book, probably a storm is on the way. That means more than likely, probability speaking, there's a chance for a storm cloud or a storm today. So what I would do is then I would roll these dice and get an answer from the oracle that will answer something that in other games would be answered by the game master. So in this case, the slider die slides over to the side of which it was on. So in this case, the yes side. In this case, the no beat out the yes. So the answer to this is it going to rain today or storm today? The answer is no. Now this isn't a very good, interesting example. Oops. So here's a little bit better example. In this case, is it going to rain today? We got a 4, a 5, or I'm sorry, a 6, a 5, and a 4. So obviously the answer is not only a yes, but a good yes. Now, what I like to do is when my dice come up with a little bit more of what I call a variance of result, a wider range of results. Say I rolled this. If the question in this case would be, does it look like it will storm today? This is a much greater positive and therefore a stronger positive return versus this one, which is a very negative return, a very weak negative return. And in this case, I would interpret this roll as, are there going to be storms today? Not only yes, but hell yes, probably a powerful storm that is going to rock their world. Could be even a tornado or a hurricane or something, because it's that wide of an array. Now, if I'd rolled this and it came back, say, this, that is a very weak yes, in my opinion. And I would say, yeah, it might drizzle or something like that. Now, if I had rolled something more to the effect of, say, this, I would probably interpret that the same way. Even though these dice rolled lower, they are, by proximity, closer to the negative result, and therefore the roll would be much more similar or in line. Let's do one more example. In this case, let's say we are in the desert Do we think it's going to rain today? Obviously, we're in a desert. Never fucking rains in the desert. Pardon my French. So we'll roll it this way. Now, in this case, absolutely not. It is not raining today. We are crossing a mountain pass, and I want to know if a storm is going to hit us while we're in this pass. As storms are fairly frequent on mountain ranges, if you've ever been in them, they come up quickly, they go away quickly, they're sometimes very powerful. I think this will slide to a yes. So the question is, will there be a storm while we are in the pass? Oh, wow. So a completely ambiguous answer. In this case, I would probably just re-roll it. You could try to figure out and interpret that in some way, but it's quicker for me just to roll. So here, absolutely, there's going to be a storm. And then what you could do is you could then continue. And you could say, does it hit in as we are climbing the mountain to the pass? Ambiguous. So I would say no. Does it hit while we're actually at the top in the very part of the pass? No. All right, so in closing, you can use the Oracle to answer a wide array, and that is the entire point of the Oracle as well. A lot of questions are answered by the GM either based on tables or are based on the setting or the adventure. And in this case, you can use an Oracle to answer a wide multitude of answers that you as the GM/player, because you're both in a solo game, you don't necessarily know the answer. This will allow you to get an answer. All right, I hope that helped explain how an Oracle works and why you use it. I appreciate you watching. If you have any comments, please leave them below. Thank you. Have a great day.